David. Interestingly enough, a lot of the issues that I've heard y'all speak about today is, yes, since I've been a biologist, are reoccurring issues that happen in Tennessee, Missouri, Wisconsin, pretty much everywhere. And I want to say, just as someone who managed a resource for 22 states, the eastern half of the U.S., as someone who was a ecologist for a city, the city of Kansas City. The most important thing you guys can do is learn how those laws work, learn how the process works. Tina and I got in a very long conversation the first time we ever spoke on how the process works in terms of getting your voice heard, the right things to say, what words to put in. And so I really like the things that I've heard from you all, and I think you guys have a really good mission. And I want to say that if I can ever be able to help to you guys, your association, or as individuals, that's what we're here for at the University of Louisville. And my whole career as a biologist is centered around the effects of urbanization on the environment. So I can only applaud you for the issues that you're taking up. So, with that said, on to my topic. Environmental justice and ecological disasters. Why do they go together? Everybody's heard about environmental justice issues, you know what they are. But in terms of how do areas respond from or following ecological disasters is something that really doesn't get a lot of attention. We think in terms of what happens locally, in terms of our own community. Sometimes our community might be adjacent to an area that may not be getting treated fairly or whatever, and it will affect that adjacent community. So education and some other things that I heard you all mention today are very, very key to the health of the overall system. So what I'm going to cover today very briefly is basically I'm an ecologist. What is ecology? I know it's one of those words that everybody hears, but when you get to asking people what is an ecologist, what is ecology, it's really hard for a lot of people to kind of put it into this box so that it's kind of nice and neat and explain it. So I want to talk about that briefly, talk about what is environmental justice. Then we'll talk briefly, we'll talk about the 3 recent ecological disasters that have happened here in Louisville, and what are some possible solutions for dealing with not just environmental justice, but how do we come back from these disasters. And real informal, small groups, so if y'all have questions, usually we wait for questions at the end. Throw your hands up when I'm talking. I'm extremely interactive, so if y'all don't interact, I feel like y'all don't listen to me, and I don't want to do it like that. So what is ecology? We have a long definition. So what is ecology? Now, if you're using my environmental biology class or mammalogy class, then I put that up there. But at the end of the day, ecology deals with, and you'll see up here today, abiotic, biotic, and the interactions between them. In other words, the living components of an area, the non-living, and how they all interact. So, you hear this word ecology, and especially in the media, it's thrown around, well, the ecology of the area is, next time you hear it, just say, in your mind, when they say the ecology, just say, scratch that, how these pieces interact is what they're saying. So it's one of those words that, in my experience, that, again, media throws around, but it's one of those things that you probably talk about in your everyday life, but probably just don't use that fancy term, So, and there's an ecology. There's an ecology to, a field. There's an ecology to streams that you all have been talking about. There's, any interaction is what ecology encompasses. So, again, the study of the biotic, living, biotic, abiotic, and then relationships between them. So, simple. It's a little bit better definition for everybody to use. But what this is really mean is that, so, we're talking about physiology, and usually you have a response of an organism. And when we say organism, we're talking about not just, your warm and fuzzies. I was trained initially as a mammologist, so we do a lot of work in my lab on mammals. And let me pause for a second. You saw me come in with Andrew Cave. I have an intern. He's interning with me from the University of Missouri. We've been working on